Hi, everybody. Happy Sunday evening to you. It's region weather meteorologist Matt Wentz. A little bit early tonight, not much. I always try to get it in the 8 o'clock hour. I know we're a little early. I had to do the morning show over the course of the weekend. Our weekend Matt was off on vacation, which is wonderful. But I had some 2 a.m. Wake up calls, and so I'm ready for bed. So I hope that's okay with everybody. If you're watching this later, again, this is getting recorded about 7:34. That's when we're live here on this Sunday evening. So if you're watching this any later on regionweather.com or our Facebook page, just keep in mind, we had this earlier, so there's not a whole lot of chit chat back and forth. But guys, hope you had a nice weekend. We've got a lot to get into. We've had the snow today. If you remember last week, we were talking about how this pattern is going to turn more snowy around here, and we're going to set ourselves up for success to produce some snow. And we're certainly going to do that this week. We've got, we had the snow today. We didn't have much at all in terms of accumulation. Temperatures just slightly above freezing, but it really didn't come down hard enough. And it's still snowing outside in spots, but no big deal with this one. But this sets the stage. Remember, we said that weekend is going to set the stage for this week. And that still looks true as we've got a real decent storm system, pretty vigorous one that's going to come out of Texas, is going to head our way. And we're going to have a decent strip of snow with that. Where that goes, that's what we're going to talk about here in this Region Weather Live. And I also want to talk about what happens after that. Remember, we're forward thinking. We like to go in the 10, 15-day range and show you what we're seeing because, a lot of times, a lot of that stuff kind of verifies in terms of pattern recognition and all of that, as this week is going to do. So we've got all that to talk about and a little bit more here in this Sunday evening edition of Region Weather Live. And welcome in, everybody. I appreciate you so much for joining us. We'll get right to it here. Want to thank our wonderful sponsors. I get emails at least once a week. It's not that often, but at least once a week we get an email from someone saying, how can we help you out? How can we support you? Don't worry about me. Support our sponsors. That means the world to me, and I know they like it as well. Tiger Plumbing, our first sponsor, they're just wonderful. I know you guys all know them. It's tigerplumbing.net. Just dropped my pen. They come out for free. And listen, in the wintertime, we tend to have a lot of pipe problems, right? With pipes bursting when it gets cold, all that good stuff. If you have anything that's dripping or leaking or the toilet's running, tigerplumbing.net is the place to go. They're our local plumber. They come out for free, which is awesome to check out the problem. Can't keep this cap on this pen. Anyway, support them if you could. Ewing Mechanical Services, they'll do anything HVAC related in your home, whether it be a humidifier. The humidity it's usually very low in the wintertime. If you want a little moisture, if you're feeling dry skin, they'll certainly help with that problem. They can install one of those. And they've got a special right now on April Air furnaces and products. So check them out. It's Ewing, MECH is their new website.com. And they're out of the Crown Point area. Wonderful group of folks there over at Ewing. Also, Discovery Travel. Boy, I've got the travel bug. I'm itching to get out of here. The snow and gray, it's that time of year, folks. So if you're looking to travel at all, don't do it on your own. Don't go to the websites where they're raising the price every day. Discovery Travel will plan the trip for you. And they'll just plan a little bit or they can plan a lot. You talk with them about that. They don't have any set packages where they do everything for you, but they find you the absolute best price. And they're Northwest Indiana local groups. Again, it's Discovery Travel, TRVL.com. And finally, Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram out of Valparaiso. I just had a snowy drive home from work this morning. I told you I was working the morning show, and I have a Jeep, and the four-wheel drive really helped out. I'm telling you, there were other people with their flashers on going up the snowy hills, and I was very proud to be in a Jeep. And they specialize in Jeeps there over at Grieger's. And they're just wonderful this time of year. They're wonderful in the summer too, but really that four-wheel drive and those big, thick, made for driving on not paved surface tires really help out. Support them over at Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram if you're in line for a new or used car. All right, let's dive into the model, shall we? In terms of the weather forecasts here tonight, we still have some leftover snow out there. This has now turned to the lake effect variety. There's not much doing. There's just another little push coming across the lake, and then eventually we'll say goodbye to this as high pressure comes in. And we haven't seen much in terms of impacts. We weren't expecting a lot. Accumulations were a little undercut, though. I was thinking 1, 2, maybe 3 inches if things went well, and we barely saw that for most of us. So here we go. This is I wanted to go short term here on the modeling. Notice how we get this little push across the lake here this evening. That's actually working through right now of some leftover snow. Tomorrow morning for the rush hour, there might be a couple flurries around. That's about it. Dry air is really going to be eaten away at any leftover lake effect tomorrow morning. So Monday's quiet. It's a quiet day. How about that? We'll still be on the cool side. We'll have a wind out of the west, but a quiet start to our week. Our next system we'll watch arrives Monday night into Tuesday. This is a Clipper system, but it's well to the north. And I was just thinking about it, like just now, we haven't had many Clipper systems this year yet. I mean, this is typically when we get these quick moving 1 to 3, 2 to 4 inchers that come out of Alberta, Canada. That's why they're called Alberta Clippers. And I don't think we've had any this year in terms of that. And I know the pattern's been kind of wonky over the first half of the winter so far, first half of January. But even in this pattern, I would expect a couple. And this one's going way to the north. So what the Clippers do, they just bring kind of a reinforcing shot of cool air. And that's what this one will do. It'll keep us from warming up a whole lot. But we're not going to stay bitterly cold or anything like that. In terms of snow from the system, all the snow looks to be up in Michigan. We may get this little band that comes through tomorrow night that may kick off a little dusting. So that, that Tuesday morning rush hour, we'll just keep an eye on it. Doesn't take much. If we just get a little coating there and untreated surfaces, may have some slick spots. But other than that, that system passes by without much ado. And then you see the system down towards the south. This is Tuesday night into Wednesday, early Wednesday. This is the low pressure I want to talk about. Okay, so we'll spend much of our time here together tonight talking about that system, what it looks like, the changes in the models. And then as always, at the end of the broadcast, I'd be more than happy to answer your questions for you. Okay. All right, so let's get into it. Here's what the modeling's saying. I'm going to show you all the models. We'll talk about kind of what I expect to happen with this. And more importantly, what the impacts are going to be to you in your daily life as we go on into the middle half of the week. Okay. So the setup is this. We've got a strong area of low pressure. It's actually over land out west right now. So I think the models have a good handle on it. There shouldn't be a lot of fluctuation on this. It's out over the Cascades out in Washington now. It's going to dive south across areas of the Four Corners region, eventually coming out into Texas, okay? That's where it starts to gather Gulf of Mexico moisture. The low will deepen. It'll become stronger, and it'll head our way. These are the kinds of storms, the ones that we call them panhandle hooks. They form in the panhandle of Texas or Oklahoma, and they kind of hook their way off towards the north, kind of like this. So here's where my mouse is. This is where it develops, and it kind of hooks its way off towards the north as it gets caught up in the jet stream. These are very typical storm systems when we get into this certain pattern where the jet stream takes a dive, and this is how we get our snow in northwest Indiana. This is really one of the only types of storm systems that we get bigger accumulations with, right? Some of them are stronger than others. Some produce more snow than others, but these are our snows, okay? This is usually the type of setup that we get outside of lake effect. So this one coming in has good moisture with it. It's pretty potent. I think the low is going to be pretty strong, so there's going to be some wind energy with it as well. The thing that we need to decide here over the coming days is exactly where that track goes. And I know that sounds lazy, that, a jog in the track can change things. But if the track of this low, okay, the low, wherever that passes, the heaviest snow is always on the north and west side of that low, okay? If the low travels right over you, you tend to get some warmer air in there, and you can change that rain over, or the snow over to rain. And if the low travels north and west of us, that takes the heavy snow away from us and brings us more into a rainy scenario. So models pretty much agree we're all snow with this, okay? The rain isn't in question, but the track of that low and how close we are to that actual center will determine whether we get the real heavy snow or if we just get some light to moderate snow out of this, okay? But I think as of right now, everything looks like we're just going to stay snow. So that's not in question. So it makes it a little bit easier forecast, but the question is how much and how close we track to that low. So if that low travels 25 miles, which is very small on a map, northwest, then that'll change the snowfall totals 25 miles, which is a big deal when you're talking about the track. So I don't want it to sound like a lazy forecast when meteorologists say that. There's a big deal with exactly what mile that low pressure tracks over, okay? So here we go. This is the latest Euro run. This is the 18Z. So this is out just a couple hours ago. And you can see as we go through time, this is Wednesday we're talking about this week. Remember, quiet tomorrow, quiet on Tuesday outside of maybe some morning flurries. So here comes our moisture in here. Pretty decent low, heads right over Memphis, says the latest Euro. And look at this strip of snow. This is heavy snow on the north side of this. It's just getting in here Wednesday morning. Midday, it starts to ramp up a little bit. And the latest Euro takes this low right up through Ohio, okay? So that would have the heaviest snow down towards Indianapolis, up towards the Toledo area. And it would keep us in some snow, but nothing blockbuster worthy or anything like that. what happens after the system goes by is we still have the snowflakes flying, and then the cold air really starts to wrap into this. You can see these black lines that you see on here. Those are the isobars. And notice how they start to come at us from the west-northwest. That would turn on some lake effect. We'd still have some system snow flying around. So we would still be snowy around here Wednesday night and a Thursday as some of that lake effect continues. In terms of big deal scale, the Euro's not saying it's too big of a deal, but it's a kind of impactful storm. This would probably be on the lines of a 3 to 6 incher for us, okay? Which it's no slack, but it's not a blockbuster blizzard or snowstorm or anything like that. What I want to show you here, so I'm going to pause it. This is the 18Z model run. Notice where the low is. I want to show you the trend of where this low is going, and then I'll give you my opinion on this. So I'm going to go from the 18Z. I'm going to go back to the 12Z, and we're going to keep an eye on where that low is, right over Kentucky. And notice the same time earlier model run had it a little bit further west. We're going to go a little bit before that. This is the 6Z. It had it back down where it is now. And then the 0Z, which is before that, notice it had it back. So it's fluctuating somewhere in that western Kentucky, but that's pretty consistent in terms of the low pressure center over the course of the last 24 hours of where it's expecting it to go. So that's why I don't expect this to change a whole lot. Oftentimes, and this is my personal opinion, oftentimes what I see in the modeling, especially with the Euro, is it will correct a little bit off towards the north and the west, okay? So that's why we need to watch the system, because it's still a little bit too far south and east as it moves by for us to get a real significant snow out of this. But I would watch that because the Euro can and tends to correct a little bit farther to the north and the west. And if it does that, that would bring the potential for some heavier snow in here on Wednesday into Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night, okay? But as of right now, it's going to be a snow, but it doesn't look to be a huge blockbuster storm or anything like that. But one of our biggest of the year, and that doesn't say much because it's been very quiet. You all know that. Let's look at the other models. So that's the Euro. I'm going to go to this exact same time on the GFS. The GFS has been a little bit more gangbusters in terms of the snow. It's back down a little bit, but the reason why it has that low closer to us. So I want to show you exactly what I mean in terms of if that low comes closer over the next couple model runs, that would ramp up our snow. So you notice on the Euro, that low, it kind of comes up through Memphis, but like the western side of Memphis, and it brings some heavier snow in here by midday Wednesday. But look how close that is. It has a low over Indianapolis instead of Cincinnati. And so that brings that heavy snow. Remember, the heaviest snow is on the right next to the northwest side of the low. You get kind of a trowel region, a setup where all the air is just lifting in one spot. And that would bring it closer to us. So the GFS says this is going to be a little bit more significant of a storm. And much like the Euro, it brings in kind of leftover snow showers thereafter. Thursday we'll have snowflakes flying. It will be colder, and the lake effect will eventually wind down after that. Last model I want to look at is the Canadian model. Again, the GEM, if you've been with me long enough, isn't always the most accurate, but to me, it's second place. I think in terms of model accuracy, I tend to lean on the Euro a lot. Not always. It depends on how it's been behaving over the last week or so, because they do fluctuate up and down. But I tend to go with Euro first, and I actually go with GEM second. They made an upgrade to the GEM. Gosh, it was like a year and a half ago. And to me, the upgrade in terms of the algorithm they put in it surpassed the American model. I think American model is in third place right now in terms of accuracy. So not every system. Sometimes the GFS gets it right, the others don't. But in this case, I would kind of lean more GEM and Euro on this forecast. And you notice where the GEM takes that low, actually east of Memphis. I think this will correct west, but notice the heaviest snow is away from us. So right now I am leaning towards that. I'm leaning that low center tracks further south and east of us than what the GFS says. And what that means for us is what we said initially, is that this is going to be a snow. We're going to get some snow out of this. But in terms of that blockbuster huge storm, I don't see it right now, okay? But we are going to have impactful travel around here Wednesday night, and Thursday. So don't lay your guard down on this storm, all right? It's just not going to be the big one, okay? All right, so let's talk snowfall totals. Actually, I want to go beyond that just real quick and talk about kind of the pattern after that. Then we'll come back to snowfall totals and we'll answer your questions, okay? So here's the GFS. We're going to look long range with the GFS, all right, just to look for pattern recognition. This is Thursday. Friday, it has us drying out. Euro's very similar to this. Another system comes in here sometime late Friday into Saturday. GFS keeps us colder, so it brings all snow in here again Friday into Saturday. That would be a clipper system, maybe an inch or so out of that as it looks at the model. And then you notice how we kind of stay locked into the cold all the way through next weekend. And there's another system coming in, and the GFS has us on the snowy side of that. Euro has us on the rainier side. and then we turn really cold to end January, says the GFS, with more snow chances expected as we get on into the beginning of February. And actually, it's warmed up. I didn't look at this model run. I looked at the 12Z, and this has actually warmed us up with some rain chances going into February. So there's that. Okay. All right. So let's get into snowfall totals here. And again, these are just computer model estimates. Okay. It's not an official forecast yet. In terms of officially forecasting how much snow will fall with this Wednesday system, should have a pretty good idea tomorrow. We can start to talk range. Tuesday, we can talk specifics. And then Wednesday, it happens. All right. As of right now, we're just looking at kind of ranges, and we need to really fine tune the track of that low. So GFS saying with this system, a general, you can see general 3 to, that's what I said earlier, general 3 to 5, 6 inches in Northwest Indiana. But that heavier strip of snow, anywhere from 7 to 10 inches, is just southeast of us. So that's why that track is crucial. But remember, GFS was furthest towards us in terms of the heavier snow. Here's the Euro model run, and this is the 18Z. So this will take us not quite through the event. So let me go back to 12Z there. Those aren't going to be your highest totals. Let's go to 12Z, and I'm going to fast forward it through Friday. There you go. So you can see the Euro. This is the one I'd probably fall more in line with. Anywhere from 3 to 6 inches. We're going to add the highest totals out in LaPorte County and the snow belt with some of that lake effect after it. And then the highest totals down towards Indianapolis, out towards Toledo. Okay. Most models agree with that. Last one I want to show you is Canadian. So go ahead and ask your questions if you've got them now. And then we'll get into the chat here. Okay. So Canadian pretty much in line with that. This has about 4 to 6 inches across Northwest Indiana as of right now, with highest totals out in LaPorte County. And that would be system snow comes through, lake effect snow comes after that. All right. So moral of the story, again, the snow we've got outside now, which is just flying around, is going to end up coming to an end tomorrow. We've got quiet Monday, pretty quiet Tuesday, and then we bring in this system Wednesday. It looks to be all snow. Wednesday morning rush hour would probably be impacted. That's when it would probably be kicking up. Wednesday evening rush hour would probably be most impacted by this, as well as Thursday morning as well. So is it cancel school worthy? It's too early to tell that. There's a chance for that. Again, I know superintendents without the snow are probably a little bit more lenient in terms of canceling school, I would imagine. So, there's certainly a chance this week, but this isn't going to be a huge snow, but it is going to be impactful. We'll likely have snow-covered roads. In terms of the wind with it, there is some wind, so we would have some blowing and drifting snow. But in terms of temperatures, they don't get real cold with this. We pretty much stay in the 30s and upper 20s all week, and so it would likely be more of a heavier wet snow rather than a fluffy snow that blows around. So I hope that answers all the typical questions that we get with these storm systems. Okay. All right. So let's see. I'm going to go back and answer your questions. I want to say hi to everyone, first of all. Don Z, Diane, thank you for joining us on our YouTube channel. Rob, you as well. Rob's praying for some snow accumulation around here. Andrew, here's the problem. Andrew bought a new snowblower. He hasn't had any snow yet on it. That's the thing when you buy a new snowblower, it's a snow-free at least 2 months after you buy it. So if it's been 2 months, Andrew, I think we can ramp up the snow here, okay? Karen, you're absolutely welcome. David says, is this supposed to snowstorm in Porter County? There's a chance, David. All these systems that produce snow are technically snowstorms. We're going to get some good snow. I don't think this is going to be a huge blockbuster foot-plus event, but it will probably be one of our best snows of the season so far, and that doesn't say much at all, okay? Hi, drummer Brett. Nice to join you here this evening. And Brent, hello to you. And Brent's asking about the Cleveland proper area, so I can answer that. Not much more, Brent, from tonight's event. I think tomorrow morning lake effect might get a little sticky near the lakeshore. We're gonna turn on more lake effect. But in terms of this system right here, Brent, same thing. We need to watch the track of that. The problem in the Cleveland and the Ohio area is that we're going to bring in rain to this. So the question is, how much rain do we bring in? So Wednesday in Ohio, if anyone's traveling out east, Brent lives there and travels back and forth. But the problem in Ohio is we're going to start with heavy snow probably Wednesday. It's going to move in as heavy snow. We'll get hit pretty hard with that, a couple inches. And then we bring in rain. Everything turns trying to kind of drippy, some rain snow mix. Then we go back to snow behind it. So that's kind of what we're dealing with there. Maxwell asks a really good question. Since we're going to turn colder next week, do you expect the cloudy spell to end? Maxwell, I don't see an end to it. I don't see an Arctic outbreak. That's what really brings that dry air where we can clear things out. So I do not see an end to our cloudy spell. We're going to have some sunshine here and there, but I don't see any big stretches of sunshine. So Wendy, in terms of talking time frame on this, Wednesday morning is in line for some snow around here. I can get a little bit more specific on the exact hour in terms of I think my modeling goes that far on the 3 hour. So this gives us a really good idea of the exact time it does go that far. That's great. Okay, so here we go. In terms of timing of the snow, so this right here is early Wednesday morning, like 3 a.m., where we have some flakes starting to move in. And then there's this is 6 a.m. All right, so we've got snow moving in and it's falling during that morning rush hour. That low will pass closest to us probably midday through the evening hours, 12 to 6. That's when we stand a chance for probably some of the heaviest snow. The other thing we need to keep in mind with storm systems like this, so we look at the presentation on radar, or I mean on the model, look at this, and it's this big block of snow. Okay, you've got consistent snow from the start of the system to the end. And what always ends up happening is this isn't how it looks on radar. All right, we can't be deceived by this. There are often holes in this in areas of dry air that work in. So it's not always a persistent band. So for example, this is what the GEM is saying for Wednesday afternoon, where it's got a strip of heavy snow down here and persistent snow for us. What could end up happening is you get this heavy band down here, and then you just get these streets here where up where it's not snowing sometimes. So you have to keep that in mind as well. All that gets factored into the snowfall accumulation, though. So those accumulations we're showing you, those stay legit. Those are real numbers, so it doesn't change anything we're talking about. But in terms of, your teacher lives in Chester and works in Gary, so in terms of that, it will be starting probably when the superintendent's waking up and opening up their curtains. All right, and so it just depends on that forecast. If this ends up being a 4 to 8 inch or something like that, and it's all going to fall during the day, maybe they can make that decision. But I don't think we're going to have huge travel impacts for that Wednesday morning. It's more the Wednesday evening. Victor, thanks for joining us on our YouTube channel. For Indianapolis now, so Indy's more in line with the heavier snow with this. It all depends on the track of that low, but Indy, as of right now, is looking at probably a 4 to 8, maybe a 5 to 10er in terms of the snowfall with this. Again, depends on the track. If that low were to shift even 10 miles west, all right, that would take the heaviest snow right over Indianapolis. If it shifts 20 miles west, which it could over the next couple of days, remember the models are just trying to gravitate towards what's going to happen 3 days from now. All right, it's amazing they can even do that. But if it shifts 20 miles west, then that takes you out of the realm of the heavy snow. So we'll have to see exactly where that low goes and how that moisture forms around it. But I think Indianapolis gets a good snow out of this. Cameron, good. I'm glad your 3-year-old's excited. That's awesome. We've got a 2-year-old here. We've got a 4 and a 6 who's almost 7. But anyway, our 2-year-old he's excited about the snow too. And we may or may not have I don't want to call it adopted yet because we haven't officially confirmed, but we have a new puppy here. And it's been, if I look sleep deprived between the morning show and that puppy, boy, we're a mess. But anyway, I was just thinking about our 2-year-old and how he does this when the puppy comes up and jumps on him. It's cute. Kind of. Hi, Lori. Let's see. Andrew says, could I selfishly ask you for you to hint what the weather will be like Wednesday through Saturday in Florida, a land of Mickey Mouse, slick chilly? Yeah, the cold air goes down there. Andrew, I don't mind checking it all. Not at all. National weather is, all the weather's connected. So going national is not a problem with that. So let me go back to this. We're going to look at the U.S. as a whole. And this can be a learning process for everybody. Just because you're not going to Florida, you might be traveling somewhere else. So we'll take a look. So you're going Wednesday through Saturday this week then. All right. So Wednesday, I mean, they're going to get the same system. So here you go. So Wednesday, if you're flying this Wednesday down there, it's going to be bumpy. You're going to go through the whole entire storm system together. So there'll likely be some turbulence on the south side of this. They're going to have severe weather probably down in the Florida Panhandle. In terms of Mickey Land, that rain would move in Wednesday night. It would likely be a line of storms. This time of year down there, they tend to just get like a squall line that moves through, then you're done. So Thursday morning, it looks like some leftover rain, but then it's out of there. And yeah, it does get colder. It doesn't look that cold, though. The cold air doesn't really get there completely. And then it looks dry Thursday, Friday. Saturday looks good, too. This isn't a bad time for you to go. I would imagine just looking at the heights, I could look, but I don't want my internet to crash. I know it's already unstable down here in my little cave. But anyway, I would guess temperature-wise, we're probably talking 60s and 70s. I don't think it'll be 80-degree weather in this kind of setup, but probably more 60s. So it would be chilly for Floridians, but for you, you'll be just fine. Carolyn says, I work in Westville. Will it be bad there? Carolyn, it's going to be the same all across the region. I don't see any part of the area that's going to see it worse than anyone else. So it just depends on this track of the low, and it depends on your definition of bad. You know, if you can drive in winter weather, Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday night, I think it's going to be wintry around here. We'll probably have some snow-covered roads and some decent snow coming down. But again, this isn't going to be a blockbuster storm where everyone's getting stuck on highways or anything like that. It should be manageable. And I like to keep it real. I'm not going to hype this thing up. But I also don't want people to say, oh, Matt says it's not going to be bad. It's going to get wintry around here, all right, as we'd expect. Miriam, I know. My heart goes out to all the snowplow drivers. It's been such a quiet season. Let's see. Mark says, wrong region forecast. Brent travels a lot. He deserves that. Let's see. Cameron. Cameron, my goodness, I am right with you. He said, I'd rather have a newborn again than a puppy. This puppy is crazy because a newborn, when you have to wake up in the middle of the night to change its diaper, that's fine. You go, you change it, you're done with all that, right? And you rock him and you put him back to bed. The puppy, man, you take this thing outside and it doesn't go. And then you come in and it goes on your floor. And it's like, no, let's go back outside. And I've read everything. I've gotten all the advice. So we're doing everything right. We've had it for a day and a half, or actually 2 days now. And I think we have it mainly potty trained. Like, we've done a good job. It goes outside. We celebrate. Yes, you went potty. But it's crazy because you have to constantly watch it so that it's not going on your floor. And so I don't know. It's a lot for my wife and I, and I don't know, we agreed just to, kind of foster it, I guess, this weekend. But I don't know if it's going to happen. It's cute though. It's a little golden doodle, cute little boy. Doesn't even have a name yet. We didn't really like the name it had. So anyway, that's that. Andrew, you're welcome. Have a good trip. Do you think Maryville will get a lot of snow? It depends on what you define as a lot, Pamela. I think right now, we covered this beginning of the show. As of right now, this looks like a 3 to 6 inch snow for us. But if the track of that low, you're going to hear that a lot. If the track of the low changes a little bit further north and west, then that could bring us into a heavier snowfall total from this. Because wherever that low goes, north and west of it, it looks like a 6 to 12 incher right northwest of it, probably 5 to 10, and the scale goes down as you get away from it. So, yeah, Mark, that's absolutely right. And that's what we've learned. Very smart puppy. Again, he's already got it. Yep. And Beth, thank you for that. That's what we've been doing. So, if you don't go potty, you go back in the crate. Problem is, we haven't always been doing that. So a lot of times we bring him back in, and then, we let him sit around with us and we play with him and stuff like that. So, I know the crate training, what I've learned is that the crate training isn't just, to give you free time or teach him how to sleep at night. The crate training is a part of potty training. So thank you for that. I appreciate all the advice. You guys are so helpful. I promise. I feel like I'm not being helpful. All right. Does everyone understand the system, though, that's coming in? Again, that's the whole point of these Region Weather Lives. I want you to be prepared for the week that's out ahead of us weather-wise. So you can look at your phone app. You can see that it says snow on Wednesday, but, it doesn't really tell you much than that, and it'll change all the time, okay? This forecast will not change. When it comes from a person, it's not a computer model. A person, your meteorologist, is analyzing all this information, and I'm forming a forecast that isn't going to change much. I hope you guys notice that the forecasts that we give on Sunday night really don't fluctuate a lot during the week, because we were talking about this last week, right? The potential for a couple storm systems to come through. So I hope this helps. So Alexis, thank you for the feedback. Okay, let's see. Ruth says, in Hudson, I got your question as well. I just answered that for someone else. Indianapolis, it just depends on where this low goes, but Indianapolis looks like you could be getting a better snow down there for you. Which would be, as of right now, I would probably say 4 to 8, could line up with a 5 to 10 with this. So Ruth is traveling to winter camp with a bunch of teens this week. Good luck with that. Going to North Central Michigan Thursday, coming home Saturday. Looks like we may run in the lake effect Saturday. Anything in particular? That's a great question, Ruth. So I'll stay on this national scale here. It'll give us kind of a good idea. So this system is going to go through Michigan as well. Let me go back to, here's our storm system right here. Comes up. Yeah, Michigan's going to get some snow with it. Central Michigan will probably be pretty equal to Northwest Indiana in terms of snowfall totals, but then they get the lake effect. Lake effect will be Thursday. There'll be some leftover Friday. It doesn't look like a huge lake effect event to me. Hold on, I was looking at the Canadian, though, so that might change things. It doesn't look like a huge lake effect event. I think their totals will be pretty similar to ours here in Michigan. And sometimes they plow the roads better, sometimes they don't. So I can't help you there in terms of what the roads are going to be like. Let's see. So Dot asks a great question. How do we know when your broadcast is going to start? It does not always seem to be the same. You're absolutely right. I've got 3 kids that my wife and I have to put to bed. We now have a puppy in there. And Dot, I worked the morning show this weekend, so I was up at 2 a.m. and I haven't had much sleep. So I'm turning in early tonight. Normally, I like to get, and it revolves around that schedule. And so you can always go back and watch these. That's the beauty of Facebook, is you can rewind, fast forward, and all that. It'll be posted on there. But also, I don't know where I was going. Where was I going with that? Oh, but also I try to get it in the 8 o'clock hour, 8 o'clock Central Time. Okay. Today we were a little early because I'm going to hit the hay earlier. Okay. So again, 8 o'clock-ish, 8:30 is usually when we try to do these. That seems to work out. But you can always go back and watch. Alexis, you're welcome. Let's see. Sharon says, what's Sharon say? Daughter coming from Indianapolis to St. John Friday, going back Sunday. Any of those snow days? Friday, we may have some lingering flurries. Doesn't look too bad, though. I think she's picking a good window on that. Let's go back to the 12Z here. Yeah, most of the snow should be kind of moving out by then. So Thursday, we've got the leftover snowflakes around. Friday, we'll have maybe some lingering, just a couple lingering snow showers. Doesn't look too bad. And then Sunday, we'll have to watch that Clipper system coming in, if that kicks off any lake effect. And then we've got this system too. So Sunday's kind of interesting. Again, it brings rain. There's going to be some kind of system around here Sunday. Okay. So Sharon, Sunday, keep an eye on that. Again, we're talking a week away right now. The Euro says it starts as rain, changes over to snow. The GFS has as colder, has some snow with that. So that Sunday system is going to be one we have to watch. It's way too early, though. I know it looks like this right now in the modeling, but this could be completely gone over the next couple days, or it could be left, right, north, south, whatever it happens to be. Okay. Russ is hoping for that southern push. I feel you. Dot, you're welcome for sure. And Deborah, no, Dot asked a legit question about that. So I appreciate that. Sharon, you're welcome. I hope that helps. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. Snooze time. I hope that's okay. But anyway, just thank you so much for tuning in. Again, I hope this is helpful. Okay. If there's anything you'd suggest that you're looking forward to, or you have questions based on the weather, feel free to submit those in the feedback, or send us a private message on Facebook. I love critiques, criticism, whatever it happens to be, or something that you're not getting out of this that you want to see, whether it be national weather or something else you're interested. I'd love to talk about that. Okay. All right, guys. So just in recap, Wednesday is going to be the day we'll be watching. Looks like it's going to be all snow. The thing in question right now is how much snow we get out of this. Right now, I'm feeling kind of 3 to 6 inches. Could go heavier, though, if that low shifts towards us. Could go lighter if the low shifts away from us. In my experience, the low tends to either stay on track or shift a little bit towards us. So we'll see what happens over the next couple of days. But we'll keep you updated as well. Rob, thank you very much. Faith Lynn, I see your question on there. Yes, Crown Point will get hit. Everyone in Northwest Indiana stands an equal chance at getting some snow from this. It doesn't look to be a blockbuster storm by any means. It looks to be just a good snow as of right now. And again, that's Wednesday into Wednesday night with some leftover snow on Thursday. Okay. All right, guys, we'll be in touch. Again, join us on our radio stations as well. Our network of stations, X-Rocks 103.9, Indiana 105.5, and Z 107.1. We have region weather forecasts every single day on those. And we even do a chit-chat feature in the morning. And it's a lot of fun. So tune in on those, and regionweather.com as well. Okay, thank you, guys. Talk to you soon.